Hey y'all, welcome back to Cooking with Hannah Soul and Happy New Year's Eve. Lord, we done made it, y'all. We made it through 2020 and we're going to end it with a bang. I'm going to teach you how to make your very own steakhouse dinner right at home. By the end, I promise you'll be saying, Ruth, Chris, who? All right, so let's jump right in and get started with the thing that's going to take us the longest to make, our macaroni and cheese. We're going to take a pot of water over medium-high heat, add a little bit of olive oil and kosher salt, bring it to a boil. And because we've been a little bougie, we're going to use some fancy looking pasta. We're going to use our cavatappi. It should take us about 10 to 11 minutes to get it to the al dente that we like. Now, because I've never been to a steakhouse that didn't do a little bit of extra with their macaroni and cheese, we're going to do the same. We're going to chop up and cook some bacon because we're going to be adding this to our breadcrumb topping. And when I tell y'all it's going to give you that extra little that you need, I mean it. All right, so go ahead and cook your bacon down. Make sure once it's done to drain it on a paper towel to catch some of that excess oil. We don't want our breadcrumbs to get a little soggy, all right? So now that our bacon is cooked and all ready to go, we're going to set it to the side and get started on our cheese sauce. Now we are making a roux, so of course you need some butter and flour. So start with 4 tablespoons of butter over medium-high heat. We are going to let it completely melt before adding in that flour, but then we're going to add in a 1/4 cup of flour and completely mix it together. And for our wet mixture, we're using 2 cups of milk and 1 cup of heavy cream, but we're not going to add it in all at once. Do 1 cup at a time. Now guys, the key to this recipe and sauce is to stir, baby, stir. We cannot let that roux burn and we don't want our sauce to clump. But do not be intimidated by this roux, guys. If baby girl start getting just a little too thick for you, it's okay. Add in a little bit more milk to thin it out, but I promise you it's going to be fine. Now for this recipe, we are using quite a few different cheeses. 1, because I said so. But 2, because I do love the depth that all of these cheeses bring to the sauce. So you're going to use a 1/2 cup of each: yellow sharp cheddar, white sharp cheddar, Monterrey Jack, Mozzarella, Gouda, and Muenster. And before anybody asks, absolutely, it's all necessary. I'm a cheesy type of girl, so I use all the cheeses in the world if I could, all right? But before we add our cheeses in, we do want to make sure that our sauce is at a consistency that we like and that there is no clumps. So now that we got our cheeses added, it's at a consistency that we absolutely love. Let's go ahead and season baby up. We're going to be using a tablespoon of each garlic powder, onion powder, seasoning salt, and then a teaspoon of black pepper. Now, you are going to season to taste, guys. My family likes really seasoned food, so off camera, I did add about a teaspoon of each more, and it came out absolutely amazing. But you're just going to combine that, and then our sauce is ready to go, guys. Now, the last thing we need to make our macaroni and cheese complete is our breadcrumb topping. So we're just going to take a tablespoon of butter and a cup of panko and lightly toast that in the skillet over medium-high heat. We don't want it to begin to brown because it's going to do enough of that in the oven, but we do want to get that buttery goodness all incorporated into it. But other than that, guys, it's time to get it all together. All right, our breadcrumbs are all done, but don't forget we're going to add that bacon from earlier and just crumble it and mix it all together, because when I tell y'all this topping is so good, it is so good, y'all. That buttery, crunchy, bacony topping on top of these cheeses, oh Lord. Let's go ahead and get it together. I'm excited. So we're going to put our oven on 400 and we're going to transfer our pasta to a baking safe dish. We are going to add a little bit more cheese because, again, what I tell y'all earlier, I'm a cheesy girl. And then you're going to mix it and combine it all together. Add a little bit more cheese too. We want it to be the cheesier, the better. Now for our topping of this, we are just using about a 1/2 cup of each, some yellow sharp cheddar and some white sharp cheddar. All right? But you're going to get it mixed together completely. Go ahead and top it with your cheese and sprinkle it with your topping and put it in the oven on 400 for about 15 to 20 minutes. Now, while we letting that get all goldeny brown and bubbly, we're going to go ahead and start on our steak, okay? So make sure you dry your steak off. Pat it dry with a paper towel. I'm using ribeye because it is my favorite cut of steak, but you really can use whatever cut of steak that you like or that you would normally order at a steakhouse. And we're going to generously season it with some kosher salt and black pepper. And then, because who cooks a steak without a cast iron skillet? We're going to add some olive oil and bring it to a high temperature because we want to get a nice sear before we let it rest and then go back to baste it. So as you can see here, my skillet was completely hot. We're going to go ahead and let it cook and sear on each side for about 3 minutes on each side, and then we're going to go ahead and remove it off the heat and set it to the side. Let it rest for a moment. So we did go ahead and take our steak off and let it rest for a couple of minutes, and now we're going to be adding it back, and we're going to take 4 tablespoons of butter, 6 cloves of garlic, 2 sprigs of rosemary, and about 3 sprigs of thyme. I'm going to let it melt all down, and this is where the basting is going to begin. You're going to baste this baby like it's nobody's business because all of that flavor is now in that skillet, and we want it all over the steak. And make sure rub some of that garlic and thyme and rosemary on top of your steak. Now, depending on how you like your steak cooked determines how long you should be cooking it. I like mine maybe about a minute or 2 past medium, but not quite medium well. All right, guys. So I'm going to be cooking each one of my sides and basting maybe for about another 2 minutes on each side. Then I'm going to go ahead and remove it. And of course, the thickness of your steak matters too. Now, because no steakhouse dinner is complete without a good vegetable, we're going to be using my favorite, asparagus. We're just going to chop the ends off, add it to a skillet with a little bit of olive oil, add some kosher salt and black pepper. I did add some minced garlic. It really does amp up the flavor a little bit. And then I tossed in 1 tablespoon of butter, and I let it cook for about 5 minutes. Now, for me, the key to a good asparagus that still has a little bit of crunch in the bite is to let it cook for 5 minutes, remove it off of the burner, but continue to let it cook in the skillet so that it may be about another 3 minutes or so, and it gives you a really good, crunchy, yet flavorful and bright asparagus. All right, guys, so our asparagus is finishing up. We're going to pull our macaroni and cheese out the oven, and would you look at God? That looks so good. Oh, guys, we are done. And there's no fancy plating today. We just took everything and lined it up on a nice rectangular plate. And of course, I garnished my plate. But other than that, I enjoyed. I hope you did too. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn your notifications on. We're here every Thursday. And I thank you for starting this journey with me here in 2020. I look forward to seeing you in 2021. And don't forget, success is your birthright. Go claim it.